Fast Forward Productions. The women are speaking. What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the One Broke Actress Podcast, an honest account of actor life plus a few lessons I learn in the process. I am your host, Sam Valentine, and we are back for episode 2 with one of my favorite authors, creatives, speakers. Ladies and gentlemen, Jamie Varon is back on the podcast. And if you did not listen to last week's episode first, go back and listen to part 1 of this episode. She and I talked for so long and we delved into so many topics that I knew we had to have a 2-part episode for you guys to download it in separate increments. Because today we are taking everything we built in episode 1 and building on top of that in terms of the reality of jealousy and comparison, the pressure of public announcements, i.e., when things happen, you always dream of that deadline article comes out, and what if you're not having a good day that day? How does it actually look in real life when these things are happening? We're taking a real deep dive into the emotional roller coaster of achieving creative milestones. In this episode, Jamie gets really candid on sharing her thoughts and how she's been through this roller coaster after having multiple books published, going viral, getting a lot of attention, and what that has done to her inside and outside, with the social media betrayal and the dichotomy between a public celebration, but at the same time, you might be having a personal letdown and you don't even know it. She really gives us an unfiltered view of the importance of authentic self-worth. What does that even mean anymore? We're going to talk about it in today's episode. So if you've ever wanted to actually achieve the work-life rest balance that we talk about that I'm not even sure is achievable, or you simply want to love yourself as a creative person even though you have not succeeded in all of your dreams yet, this episode is for you, and it will give you ways to seek validation beyond our current ideas of fame and success. You need this episode in your feed. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, please enjoy episode 2 with Jamie Varon.
I don't see the benefit of lying about these things. I'm like, of course I compare.
Yeah.
Of course I get jealous. Are you serious? I live in the world. Hello. Yeah. It doesn't help that when those announcements are made, they are made in such celebration and such, they did it. They figured it out. Okay, I guess I just need to get that perfect deadline announcement. I guess I just need to be number 1 on the New York Times bestseller list. And then this must be, I'm feeling this way that it didn't feel the way that I expected because that hasn't happened for me yet. And I'm like, this is a slippery slope, because there were so many times I just wanted a book deal. And I will say, even like honestly, and I don't even think I consciously meant it, there is kind of a script with these announcements too. That's the kind of downside to social media, is that no one else wants to tell the truth. Like, you don't like put out a deadline announcement and go, yeah, this made me feel numb.
Wait, I would
love it though, but like no one
you
does.
can't. There's also too many people working behind the scenes that by the time you need to be excited because your publicist tried to get the article and all these things. And so it's like your duty. But by the time you get to that point, is it as thrilling as you wanted it to be?
I know. And I mean, I did like an unboxing of my novels, and actually like with my next books, I'm going to be doing it a different way. Because I feel like with my novel, I was in like, because my novel came out September 2023. So promo was kind of like all of 2023. And I just didn't feel that I had been as authentic as I wanted to be, because I was scared. And I thought, this is the way you're supposed to be, and you got to be presenting it in a certain way. And like, I did the whole unboxing video, because everybody does the unboxing video. And I did the thing. And I'm not saying it was like not how I felt, but I also, like, I don't know, when my novel came out on the day of, it was exciting, but also I'd written it 3 years before.
Which is, it's so similar to acting, is like, people are giving you these highs and you're like, I did this a couple years ago. I actually am better than this now, what you're seeing.
It's weird because it's like, and everyone is like, aren't you so happy? Or did you celebrate? And I'm like, yeah, I've celebrated. Because to me, what is really weird, and what I realized when my book came out, was for both Radically Content and Main Character Energy, when the book came out, it was a letdown. But when I finished writing those books and did that work, it was untouchable. It was the best feeling of my life. But that's hard to say.
Yeah.
You're
and
like,
you don't want
happy
to disappoint your people.
Yeah. You're
and
like,
you don't want
happy
to disappoint your people.
Yeah.
You don't want to disappoint the people who are supporting you either. They're excited. So you're like, yeah, but that is so real. And I've never heard someone say that, because we're just told to I hate to take the words from Taylor Swift, but like lights, camera, bitch, smile. Like let's
Yes.
like even when you want to die, like you just got to do it.
Yeah. I'm miserable and nobody even knows. And it's like, it's not that you're miserable. It's just, it's not the thing that you thought it was going to be. And it's not like you don't want to do it. It's just, it's a confusing feeling that people who don't get it, they don't get it. And I understand now, I never really understood why like people in sort of public positions, you know, celebrities or whoever, not that I'm saying I'm a celebrity, but just people as celebrities, why they would start to, as they got more and more famous, it almost seems like they become less and less personal and less relatable. And it's like, because of this, like I saw recently Nicholas Galitzine, who's in Idea View, which is like, he's being celebrated. It's great. But he wrote, like he said something about, he's like, I'm not really super comfortable with how much people are focusing on my looks and not on my performance as an actor. And people in the comments were like, oh, boo-hoo. Oh, wow. Like, yeah, we really feel sorry for you, dude. And it was like so dismissive. And I'm like, oh, that's why you don't say anything. That's why these conversations happen in private.
I mean, Sydney Sweeney got attacked for saying like, oh, I can barely afford to live in my house and I have to get security and all these things. People are like, oh, wow, you live in a $3 million house. Listen, was everything delivered at a 10? No, but also that's real. And she gave it, she said it. You just get punished.
You do get punished. There's a certain level you hit where you're not allowed to really say things anymore. And I guess for me, I'm just like, okay, I'm going to try to not get to that place. And granted, I'm not like trying to sell I'm not acting in a movie or anything, but as a writer, obviously that gives me more leeway because I'm used to kind of like writing about things. But I think these conversations are just so important because it actually, if people could stop and not be so dismissive, they could see that this is actually a freeing thing that we're finding out from people. You don't have to aspire to this then, unless like you're led to it. If your calling and your vision is led to it, great. But for so long, we have looked at fame and riches and all these things as the pinnacle of the experience. Meanwhile, these people are suffering. So many of them are suffering in silence and private because they get dismissed every time they talk about it. And it's like we're all getting involved in this cycle. We look at celebrities and we think, oh, screw you. I'm just going to say whatever I want. You got it all made. So when you have this. So I'm just going to be like a hater, which is the Colleen Hoover thing. I'll be a hater. Mm-hmm. She's not allowed to ever say that she's affected by it. No one's allowed to ever say that they're affected by it. Then the people think they're not affected by it. So that must mean that fame and being rich gives you immunity to life's pain. And it's all
and no wonder we all want to get it so bad.
We're like, oh my God, we get to be immune, being human. Oh my God, that sounds great. I hate not being immune to being human. I gotta feel shit every day. So stupid. Can't believe it. And it's like, okay, so I'll just become famous. I'll just become rich. Like, did you watch Baby Reindeer?
Oh my God. I feel like I know so much about it though.
It's a hard watch, but there's a part at the end of the series because it's based on the guy who wrote it. He's also the actor in it. And this is his real experience. And he does this monologue about fame and how he's like, I always hated myself, but I thought if I can become the funny guy, then people see me as the funny guy. And then I'm no longer the guy who hates himself or doesn't, isn't good enough and not special. I'm now special and everybody sees me as that. And I'm like, that is one of the most profound things that I can't believe they let someone say on a TV show.
On Netflix, yeah.
I almost am like, fame and money seem to be equal, but I almost think fame is more appealing, especially now where like everyone wants to go viral. Everyone wants to be some sort of social media star. And yet when you talk to these people who are these social media stars or whatever, they're like, people are so mean to me. And like, it's so hard to take it in and to be exposed to this. And so it's like, we're all perpetuating this belief. And I even found myself, especially last year, on very smaller stakes, but like I followed a script. I followed the script that I'm supposed to follow. You had to put on a big, okay, you got your thing. The novel came out, so you're supposed to be happy, right? Like I remember saying I had been having a hard time because also when my novel came out, about 3 weeks after, I was then someone who was working on a different project of mine, like came after me and wanted to take main character energy too in terms of film rights. So it was actually kind of hard because I got to a certain place and then someone that I trusted got really greedy and I was going through a hard time, like for real. And I was trying to express that, but I was also in the middle of a legal thing that was kind of hard to express too.
Yeah, and you
But
can't talk about that stuff.
No, you can't. It's really tough. And I had said something like, I'm kind of coming out of a hard period. And someone messages me who I don't really even know, just a stranger on Instagram. And she was like, but didn't you have your novel come out? Like, why would you have a hard time? And I was like, it's fine. It didn't like hurt me. It's more like, oh, okay. Like you just said that to my face. And so now I understand the thinking, the mechanism of the watchers. There's the watchers and there's the object of the watching. And it's different. That is a tricky. I mean, if anyone is probably calling that out the best, it is Taylor Swift. I mean, she is calling out the watchers. It's incredible. And, it's almost like her life is performance art.
Mm-hmm. Like where also, I wonder if she knows who she is because how much of it is, I don't know. I think it gets to be a blurred line, right? Because this is some way deep things, but like, who are we without the mirror in front of us? Who am I without this microphone and like looking at you on Zoom? Who am I without your perception of me and people's perception of me that has been thrown back at me since I put my life on the internet, in 2018? How does that change who you are and how you come off and what you choose to share? And if you're not sharing it, is it technically real? It gets real deep up in there. But I think some of the stuff you're hitting on is the perfect circle of exactly what you were saying at the top. That is, we feed off this being picked validation, and the in-between is so much more of the life that it's really scary to be in the in-between. And so if we're going to be in the in-between all the time, most of the time, how do we enjoy it, right? Do you have a creative routine? What is your navigating this between space when you're not on the days that we don't have a novel coming out, right? Which is going to be 99% of the time. What is that day for you? Because also when I read main character energy, I was like, is this like what her life is like? And like, is she living this dream in a writer's retreat? And also I know you met your husband in Paris. So I'm very curious how much of that came off of your story. So what is your day to day?
I mean, main character energy, I wish that was about me, but I definitely don't have a villa in the south of France. I don't have an Aunt Margot, and I have an aunt, but she's definitely not going to gift me that villa. And I know for sure she's not a writer. So I think I really lean into the simplicity of my day. I'm like, I go on my walks. I do like a daily walk. I have my routine in the morning. I either journal in the morning, which is just like a free fall journal, or I write affirmations. So for me, I need to write my affirmations almost every single day to remind myself on how I need to think because I veer negative thinking very easily. So I'll just be scrolling something that puts me in a negative state of mind. And so I write a page of affirmations. If anyone is interested in this process, I have a 1-hour workshop on it. You can get at my website where I go much more in depth, but it's essentially just like coming up with some targeted phrases of like, my life is magical, things happen in the right time, and my desires are worthy, like these types of things, just to kind of like remind my brain of how we're going to go through the day. So I do that every morning. Right now, the routine, it kind of changes because when I'm in the middle of writing something, I'm not a write every day person. When I was drafting my novel that I just turned in, I was writing 4 or 5 days a week. And I do that like a couple hours a day. Sometimes I do like an afternoon session, but sometimes I don't. I'm a pretty fast writer. So in like a 2-hour, I get like about a chapter done. But then I'm done. I got to go live my life and be out and get inspiration. But when I'm not working on a novel, I used to kind of like wait around too much. And now I'm done waiting around. So now I've been doing other things. I've been filling my schedule with just like some other projects that interest me that I'm like, they might not go anywhere, but there's something to kind of keep the creative juices flowing. For me, it's not about writing every day. It's about being creative every day.
What falls into the bucket of creative that people might not realize?
Well, in my previous life, I used to be a graphic designer. So I've done a lot of design work. I'm working on something with a friend that's kind of in the realm of design. I can try to kind of keep those creative juices flowing. But even like cooking for me is very creative. I like doing that. And I try to just have other things like my plan in all this waiting and the in between is to always diversify my joy. I'm going to extract the most out of my walk, for example. So I'm always going to listen to music that I really love, and I'm going to notice the weather, and I'm going to like look at the trees, and like it sounds like, oh my God, that's like so stupid life, but it's like actually it makes my life so nice. I have something to look forward to, for example, and I just try to keep the wheels turning in some way because I'm the same. I mean, I could be writing every single day, but I don't feel that I get enough ideas that way. I personally believe that I need space in my life to come up with new ideas. And I like life to inform my writing. So I need to be, and I write a newsletter every Friday. So that keeps it kind of fresh. And I just have decided, I've really leaned back into like my multi-passionate like nature. So I like to do lots of things. And there was a time for the past couple of years since my book started coming out that I got really myopic, and it was like, it has to be books. And so I have to be thinking about writing. I can't do anything else. If I do anything else, it means I'm failing at writing. And I've just decided that I like to be multi-creative. I like to have my hands in several things. I get excited about different disciplines. I don't have to have that much intensity on this one thing. And I think when we do kind of like expand, I notice when I look back, I'm like, whenever I had kind of a slow period, if I really embraced the slow period, I was able to be really refreshed for the busy period that always followed it. But when I didn't embrace the slow period, the busy period, it almost like I self-sabotaged because I was like, well, now I'm too overwhelmed and I haven't filled my cup back up. And so now I'm really in the flow of like, if it's slow, all right, I'm out. No computer today. Let me go to the beach, go on my walk, go on a hike. Okay, this is a great time for me to go on a 3-hour hike and do what I'm doing and live my life and maybe go see my little 2-year-old niece and have the best day ever with her and, call a friend, do something with my husband. And then it always happens. I feel totally refreshed for when the busy period comes and I need all my full energy. So I'm just like, that's the thing. And I think instead of the waiting, where I've come to now is if I can trust that things are all arranging in my favor in ways that I can't really ever see. Like I just had an opportunity come up that's going to come out next week. I can't talk about it yet, but it was this opportunity that got fully arranged behind my back, had no idea because someone in a position that got this idea had read main character energy like a few months ago. And I was like, how could I have ever? So when I sit around going, how am I going to figure this all out? I'm never coming up with really good ideas like that.
It's a balancing act, right? Because you're not just going to the beach every day.
No.
Just to kill time. Like there is the work and rest and work and rest. And I think that's the hard delineation of when is my work enough that I get to rest.
I mean, that is but if you do think like that, if it needs to be enough, then you're earning your rest. And for me, I wouldn't say I use that model. I'm more like there's certain actions that I need to take in order for my rest to actually be restful. Like for example, if I like have dishes in the sink, this is like tiny something, but if I have like dishes in the sink, I can't be on the couch resting. I don't know. It's stressful to me. You can do whatever you want with your dishes, but that's just me. And so I'm like, Jamie, it takes 2 minutes just do the dishes. So it's like little things like
Yeah.
that, where if I'm avoiding something, my rest is not restful. But when I really can go through my checklist and I'm like, yeah, I did that, waiting on that, waiting on that, waiting on that. Okay. I mean, I got to go on my hike, I guess. I don't know. The best thing we can do is always be in relationship with ourselves. Like you can't let your mind just run all the time. I mean, it's wired to bring up anxieties and worries. That's how it protects itself. And
Yes.
sometimes you just got to be like, all right, I'm good. And
There's
even
such a fear in that of knowing like if I'm and this is I think something that attracted me so much to Radically Content was if I decide I'm okay, if I decide like I'm good, I have been taught by the outside world that that means I'm not up leveling, hustling, all of those things. And that's why, I think it's such a good book for creatives to read because that's so much of what you tackle in it of why do we also always have to be up leveling? What is this?
the way that I have to tell myself is like, okay, but sometimes you have to live in your up level too. Like you got to live there in the up level. Enjoy that for a while. Like you got to a different place, you're in a next level. Sit around and like love that. Appreciate that. Do you know how much you're going to regret not appreciating where you're at when you've just been in the up level? I mean, if you look at it, if you're always up leveling, you're never actually savoring anything. You're never actually enjoying anything. What is the point? Like,
Yes.
the point of any self-growth and self-improvement is to improve upon your present experience of your life. So when you have the opportunity that you've actually done that, you've healed, take your healed self out. Be in your healed self for a while. Life is always going to come knocking at your door and bring you a new problem. But when you have a moment where it's not, go and enjoy that. And like go and enjoy when you're reacting and feeling and engaging with the world differently. But this constant, like we have convinced ourselves that if we have constant anxiety about self-improvement, then that is productive. But it's not productive. And we've convinced ourselves that if we stay grasped and in control of everything, then we're going to get there. But don't you realize how many times you've just let go and that phone call suddenly comes?
It feels like the magic. I actually just talked to an actor about this yesterday, where she was like, well, I feel like if I work really, really hard and then I take a little pause, stuff happens. And I was like, it's cute that you think that you're letting go of control when what you've actually created is your second semblance of control to have this magic pathway.
Well, but that is, to me, that is the magic. Like for me, if I'm really in the flow and I try to be, this is what I try to flow with, is I get this idea, some divine inspiration or something is magnetized to me and I do work hard at it and I put my soul into it and I do work through when I am kind of like avoiding the work. I'm like, no, let's be disciplined. Let's get this done. And then the how and what it's going to do, I have to release it. That is when I'm my most happiest. And it also seems to coincide with things magically appearing that I would have never expected when I let go of that intensity. And it's so scary to let go of the intensity because you think the intensity is what's propelling everything forward. And more often than not, what you're doing is you're coming up with some narrow idea of how it's supposed to go, usually based on comparing to someone else. Like if you think about your intuition or your mind or anything as like a container, if it's full of worries and plans and control, where is an insight going to come in? Where are you going to get the idea that goes, hey, I think you should call this guy that you met 2 months ago for something? I don't know. And like, I did this recently where it was like I kept getting a lot of reschedules for some reason on some stuff. And every single time it was rescheduled, even though my initial instinct was to be anxious about it, I was like, there's some information that I haven't gotten yet that I'm going to get before this call. I'm just going to trust that. And it did. It was like one time something got a really important Zoom got rescheduled, even though I really didn't want it to be. But that day I was so tired and I was kind of in like one of those like, why did it take so long to have this Zoom? Come on. And then I had like a whole weekend to just get myself in a better place. And by the time I showed up for the Zoom on the following Monday or Tuesday, I was slept better, less stressed, felt more open, was excited to take it, trusting. And I was like, huh. And so even though there's a part of me that's like, I mean, I'm a Capricorn rising, the discipline and the bullheadedness to go it's insane. But there's a wisdom within me that's like, you can't figure this all out on your own, especially when you're a creative. No two careers are ever going to be alike. So if you think that you can follow the blah, blah person's plan, and I know the reps love to do that.
Oh, they love a plan. It makes sense because it also kind of shuts us up and gives us work to do, that they can do the things they want to do as well.
But I think for me, I'm like, okay, I'm going to have a loosely held vision. And then I'm going to let, like, if there's a redirect, I'm just going to trust that there's a redirect. The way that I thought 2024 was going to go is totally different than what I, like what I was talking about with this legal thing. I got totally cut out of my own project. I'm not even involved anymore. And it's my life story. So it's like a whole thing. But I'm honestly okay. And I really do feel like it taught me so much in that I needed it to happen to teach me these lessons. Granted, I would have loved to just get these lessons without having it happen, but I'll take the meaning from it because I'm such a big proponent of like, I really do think you can extract meaning from everything that happens. I do think everything happens for a reason, but I don't think it's my place to tell someone who's in pain, everything happens for a reason. It's like, all right, let people come to their own conclusions about what a bad situation in their life that was really painful, what it brought to them. They'll get there, but it's not for you to like dismiss their pain. So that's like, I think why we have an issue with the everything happens for a reason is because it's like, that's for me to decide what my reasons are, not for you to tell me to get over it. But I've just kind of like let go of this intensity of how I need it to be. And since I've started to really let go and like, because I've just had such a vision of the books, especially of like, it needs to go this way. And it's this, once I get one, it's this next one. And And I'm like, well, it didn't go. And now I need to just, the intensity has done nothing. It has not propelled me somewhere that I would have imagined it would go. Instead, it's only made me more anxious. And I am doing everything in my power to relieve my anxiety. I do not believe my anxiety is doing something positive for me anymore.
Ooh, like, you're talking to the girl who said to her therapist, what if my anxiety is my edge? Word for word. And she was like, no.
But I thought it, without my anxiety, I'll do nothing.
Yes, it's exactly what I thought. I said, well, the reason people think I'm so productive is because my anxiety just propels me. It's my superpower.
Right.
No.
We think that because we've never seen a different way.
Yes. But we don't see any. It's happening, slowly starting to peek through, right? But very rarely do we see examples on social media or in TV and film of the, hardworking woman who has the life we all want, but also sleeps 8 to 9 hours a night and only drinks 2 cups of coffee. You never see that.
No, it's like, it's a very anxious version. And I don't know. There's certain things that I'm just like, I refuse to just take this as truth. Like, I just don't want to be there anymore. If for some reason me not having anxiety means my vision is less or my ambition goes down or something, which I have not experienced that. If at some point it does, okay, I guess that's what it does. I mean, because at the end of the day, if you know that these achievements that you're anxious about pursuing only bring on more anxiety to sustain them and keep them and improve upon them, because once you get a little success, they want more from you. They don't let you just take your time anymore. You got to be the one that puts boundaries and says what you're available for. Otherwise, I mean, haven't we seen it a million times with every pop star and big actor? It's tale as old as time. It's not like those things relieve anxiety. They give you different anxieties. So for me, I'm like, then I can't pursue it with anxiety, because then I'll be in the urgency, the lack, the hustle, I'm going to be irrelevant. I'm going to be this. Like, I'm just going to change my beliefs about this. I'm going to change how I approach it. And like, I'm going to just see if, as an experiment, what's going to happen. And like, I just recently did this experiment with myself where I was like, Jamie, fucking relax, and let things happen as they're meant to happen. And I let go of everything. I was like, if this isn't meant to be, it's not meant to be. Okay. There'll be something else, or there might not be something else. Maybe there's a reason. Okay. I let it go. A week later, it started happening, but not in the way that I expected. I let go of, I had this very idea of how things were supposed to go, what kind of money and this, where it was all going to come from. And then something came out of nowhere that I was like, how would this possibly, I could never have ever planned this. And so I guess what I see is like, there's a part of me that really wants to control and wants my plan and my vision, but there's a larger part of me that wants to just be continuously surprised by how life can just bring crazy things to me. I don't really get off that much on a perfectly executed plan, even though it's like part of me wants that stability and certainty. But the other part of me is like, it just keeps returning to that, like, where am I going to get led? What if I like totally surrender? Where is it going to lead me? What's going to flourish? What's going to drop in my inbox out of nowhere? Because the thing is that honestly, things really can change in the space of like 1 hour.
And the high highs feel so high, but the lows in between, you're like, I'm never going to get through this. Just like you said, it's going to be a lot of waiting games. You open your inbox and there's something waiting, an opportunity that's not, hey, here's the lead in a film. It might be, hey, you want to talk to someone on a podcast? And it's like, cool. Like, it just is going to be different then, but it can be seen with the same amount of joy, which I think is just a beautiful way to see it. And
yeah, see, I think I experience joy when I start getting really like rigid about the control. It feels like everything, like there's no flowing water through my life. It's just everything's blocked up. The dam comes in. And then I get so much joy when I can sense that it's like, oh, it opened and something's going to come, and something that I probably won't expect is going to come. And that excites me. And I think when I am truly able to actually get out of this just idea of how it's supposed to go because it happened to someone else, so it should have happened for me, and they're happier than me somehow or experiencing something that I'm missing out on. If I can get out of that, and if I can truly drop into, it's all working out for me, it's all going to make sense for me, just bring me the joyful, bring me the light, bring me something that'll make me excited, bring me something that's just like uncomplicated. I don't know. It makes the day, even in the waiting, lighter. It makes those days when nothing's going on, you're like, oh, I can like think again. I feel brighter. And to me, I'm like, that's the answer then. It's that complicated and that easy.
yes. Listen, I've read your writing now and I understand that thought process so much better because of that. And listen, I could keep talking to you for about 2 more hours, but I should probably let you go because I've had you for quite some time now. But
I didn't even notice.
This is so great. I'm so glad we connected like this because I could ask you 1,000 more questions because there's so much we didn't hit on. But for our creatives who are listening, who are like, this is the type of conversation I need going on inside of my own porous brain that we talked about, where can we direct them? Where's the best place to get your books that's helpful to you as an author? Are we like now on Amazon? Are we okay with it? Do we go to your website? Like give us the real information.
Get your books wherever you get your books, library, Amazon, bookshop, wherever. And follow me on Instagram. I'm always like posting. I mean, if you like this kind of stuff, you'll definitely like my Instagram because I post a lot of this kind of musings and thinking about this. And yeah, I mean, you could get all the links to everything at jamievaron.com. And yeah, if you love this episode and you got something out of it, like definitely feel free to message me and tell me, because my favorite part of Instagram is messaging. I know people hate the DMs, but I love the DMs. I like community. I don't know. I felt really alone in these types of things until I started leading conversations. And so many people are like, oh my God, no one ever talks about this. This makes me feel so much less alone. And I'm like, well, me too, because now I'm not thinking of these things alone and too afraid to share them. So it really means a lot to me. And thank you so much for having me. I loved this conversation so much.
This is so awesome. I can't wait to go back and personally re-listen to it. We might cut it up into a few episode pieces so we can slow roll it and savor in it. But Jamie, thank you so much. Your work means so much to me, and I'm so glad I know you.
Oh, thank you. Have a great day.